Hi everyone, so before we get started on this election night, I'd just like to point out the results of the 2019 governor's elections, I guess my predictions of those. So we see incumbent Democrat John Bel Edwards getting re-elected in Louisiana. We see incumbent Republican Matt Bevin wins in Kentucky. And the Lieutenant Governor Republican Tate Reeves wins in Mississippi. The House special elections results all go to the incumbent party. That is, if a special election does occur, we see it going into the incumbent party in all cases. Why is Mississippi not the actual governor running? Well, the governor's term expires, so the Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves is considering a run. We see Tate Reeves running and winning that lieutenant governorship in Michigan. Okay, and House special election results go to the incumbent party. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the election night. Remember to comment down your suggestions below. What else do I need to say? Subscribe, like, you know the drill. Okay, and let's get right into this election night. Hello, welcome to election night 2020. Today is Decision Night 2020. MSNBC has full coverage of the 2020 elections. MSNBC has full coverage of an election like no other. Your voice, your vote. MSNBC. So, yes. Here are the races that we will be watching tonight. The Decision 2020, the race for president. Joe Biden, the Democrat, versus Donald Trump, the Republican. The race for Senate control. Chuck Schumer, the Democrat, and Mitch McConnell, the Republican. The race for the NGA. Steve Bullock, for the Democrats, the National Governors Association. Steve Bullock for the Democrats. Larry Hogan for the Republicans. And the race for House control, Nancy Pelosi, representing the Democrats, Kevin McCarthy, representing the Republicans. We have the first results coming in the 7 p.m. poll closings. We can project. We got a lot of projections to get to. Let's go. Vermont goes to Joe Biden. Virginia, a key race alert here, 13 electoral votes. Joe Biden wins in Virginia. Indiana, Donald Trump wins in Indiana. Kentucky, Donald Trump wins in the state of Kentucky. South Carolina, 9 electoral votes. Trump, the victor. Virginia Senate race, Mark Warner wins in Virginia. In South Carolina, the Senate race, Lindsey Graham wins. The Republicans get South Carolina. In Vermont, that governor's race goes into the Republican corner. Phil Scott wins in Vermont. In Indiana, Eric Holcomb wins the governor's race in Indiana. As for the House races, in South Carolina 1, the House race, Joe Cunningham wins in South Carolina 1. In Georgia 6, Lucy McBath wins in Georgia 6. In Virginia 10, Abigail Spanberger wins in the Virginia 10. In Virginia 2, Elaine Luria wins in Virginia 2. Kentucky 6, Andy Barr wins in Kentucky 6. We have a lot of too close to call races as well. The Georgia presidential race is too close to call. The Georgia Senate race, also too close to call. In Kentucky, the Senate race there, too close to call. In Georgia 7, the House race there, Carolyn Border-Yerkes is too close to call. The Border-Yerkes race, too close to call. 16 electoral votes in Biden's corner, 28 for Donald Trump. Georgia, too close to call. 36 Senate seats for the Democrats, 32 for the Republicans, too close to call. 19 governorships in the Democratic corner, 22 for the Republicans. And as for the House map, 18 Democrats and 29 Republicans. 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast, the bottom of the hour. West Virginia, North Carolina, and Ohio. West Virginia presidential race, Trump wins. West Virginia governor's race, Jim Justice wins in West Virginia. North Carolina governor race, Roy Cooper wins in North Carolina. Ohio 1, Steve Chabot wins in Ohio 1, the Republican incumbent. North Carolina 2, George Holding wins in North Carolina. North Carolina presidential race, Joe Biden is currently behind in the North Carolina presidential race to Donald Trump. Ohio, right now we only have one precinct reporting. It's right in downtown Cleveland, but it's too early to call. Biden right now with an overwhelming lead. Expect this to shift. West Virginia. Excuse me. West Virginia, Richard Ojeda and Shelley Moore Capito vying for the Senate seat there. Richard Ojeda currently behind the incumbent Mal Capito. North Carolina Senate race, Dan McCready 49.0, Tom Tillis 50.0, Republican incumbent seat. North Carolina 9 House District, Casey Hunt versus Bishop. I can't remember his last name. Okay, 16 electoral votes for Joe Biden, 33 for Donald Trump, 36 Senate seats for the Democrats, 32 for the Republicans, 20 to 23 for the Republicans in the governor's race, 25 to 53 for the Republicans in the House race. It's the top of the hour. We got a lot of poll closings. Alabama, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Florida, Illinois, Tennessee, Washington, D.C., Connecticut, Delaware, Missouri, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Mississippi, and New Hampshire. All of their polls are closing right now. All of their polls closing at the top of the hour right now. It's 8 p.m. Eastern. Rhode Island goes to Joe Biden. Illinois goes to Joe Biden. Washington, D.C. in the Biden corner. Connecticut, Joe Biden. Delaware moves into the Biden column. New Jersey goes to Joe Biden. Maine's 1st District goes to Joe Biden. Maine at large also in the Biden corner. Maryland moves to Joe Biden. Massachusetts moves into the Biden column. New Hampshire goes to Joe Biden. In Alabama, Trump wins in Alabama. In Mississippi, Trump wins in the state of Mississippi. He wins in Tennessee as well. In Missouri, there was good talk about this becoming a swing state. Missouri goes solidly in the Trump corner. Oklahoma moves into the Donald J. Trump corner. Maine's 2nd Congressional District, Trump victory. Mississippi, Cindy Hyde-Smith, the Senate race here. Cindy Hyde-Smith barely hangs on here. She is a very, not a great person. I mean, it's not my place to comment there, but she made some very inappropriate remarks in the 2018 Senate race there in Mississippi. But nonetheless, she gets re-elected. Tennessee Senate race, the incumbent there not running, Diane Black, wins in Tennessee. In Oklahoma, Jim Inhofe wins in Oklahoma. In the state of Illinois, Dick Durbin gets himself re-elected. Delaware, Chris Coons re-elected. In New Jersey, Cory Booker wins his re-election. Rhode Island, Jack Reed gets himself re-elected. In Massachusetts, Ed Markey, one of the proponents of the Green New Deal, Ed Markey gets Massachusetts in the Democratic column. We have a major projection. Jean Shaheen, she wins in New Hampshire. This is a big win for the Democratic Party in New Hampshire. Delaware, the governor's race, John Carney, the projected winner. In the state of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu wins his re-election. In Missouri, the governor there, Mike Parson, wins his re-election. Georgia 7, we have a projection here. Carolyn Bordeux wins in Georgia 7. This is a projection. Illinois 6, Sean Casten. Oh, by the way, that was a pickup there in Georgia 7. Sean Casten gets himself re-elected in Illinois 6. New Hampshire 1, Chris Pappas, I don't know how to say his name. New Jersey 3, Andy Kim gets himself re-elected. New Jersey 7, Tom Malowski gets himself re-elected. Pennsylvania 8, Matthew Cartwright gets himself re-elected. Illinois 13, Rodney Davis gets himself re-elected. In Missouri 2, Ann Wagner gets herself re-elected. Pennsylvania 1, Brian Fitzpatrick gets himself re-elected. In Pennsylvania, the presidential race, Biden and Trump, too close to call right now in Pennsylvania. Excuse me, it's tiring saying all these projections. Florida moves into the too close to call column. Biden right now behind Trump. The Alabama Senate race, Doug Jones currently behind the Republican. Maine Senate race, Sarah Gideon, the current Speaker of the Maine House of Representatives, currently behind Republican incumbent Suzanne Collins. Illinois 14, Lauren Underwood, currently leading the Republican in Illinois 14. In Maine's 2nd District, Jared Golden right now leading the Republican there, Bruce Poliquin. In Oklahoma 5, Kendra Horn right now behind Mick Cornett in Oklahoma 5. This is the current presidential map. 95 electoral votes for Biden, 77 for Trump. Dems right now at 42 Senate seats, Republicans at 35. Right now the Republicans are at 25 governorships, Democrats at 21. Right now, the Democrats are at 104 House seats, Republicans at 109. It's the bottom of the hour, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Arkansas. Arkansas goes to Trump. Tom Cotton, the senator there, gets himself re-elected. We also have a projection here. Shelley Moore Capito in the West Virginia Senate race. We project that she gets herself re-elected. Shelley Moore Capito wins in West Virginia over Richard Ojeda. Georgia Senate race, David Perdue, we also project. This is a much earlier projection than many people were thinking. It was predicted Perdue would hold on, but he seems to have held on by quite a while. Quite a margin here in Georgia. 95 electoral votes for Joe Biden, 83 for Donald Trump, 42 electoral votes for the Democrats, 38 Senate seats for the Republicans, 21 governorships, 25 for the Republicans, 100, whatever, we can just skip through all that. It's the top of the hour right now, 9 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast. Arizona, Colorado, Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, New Mexico, New York, North Dakota, South Dakota, Texas, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. They're all closing right now. We have a bunch of projections to get to. We have a major projection, the National Governors Association, the projected winner here. Republicans will retain control of the National Governors Association, a big win. We can see it came from Doug Burgum holding on in North Dakota. Doug Burgum wins the governorship in North Dakota. Let's get to some more projections here at the top of the hour, 9 p.m. Eastern. Minnesota goes to Joe Biden. New Mexico in the Biden corner. New York goes to Joe Biden. In Colorado, this was considered a swing state. Not anymore. Joe Biden wins it at the top of the hour. Pennsylvania, this is a major projection. Look at this. Pennsylvania moves into the Biden column just 1 hour after the polls closed in Pennsylvania. A major win for the Democrats. Even though Biden still needs to pick up some more electoral votes and hold on to the states Hillary won in 2016, the fact that this was projected so early could tell us what might happen throughout the rest of the night. 20 electoral votes goes to Joe Biden. Kansas goes to Donald Trump. Louisiana in the Trump corner. Nebraska at large moves into the Donald Trump corner. Trump also wins Nebraska 1 and Nebraska 3. North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wyoming, that trio of states with all 3 electoral votes, those all also move into the Donald J. Trump column. Okay, we have some more projections. Georgia moves into the Donald Trump corner. Georgia goes to Donald Trump. That's a major projection. In New Mexico, Ben Ray Lujan wins in New Mexico. Minnesota, Tina Smith wins in the state of Minnesota. Alabama, major projection here. Mike Rogers picks up this seat. Doug Jones gets fired, I guess. Alabama elects Mike Rogers to the Senate. Mike Rogers wins in that Alabama Senate race, a Republican gain. Louisiana Senate race, Bill Cassidy, he gets re-elected. Kansas Senate race, Jeff Collier gets himself re-elected. He did run for governor in 2018. He barely lost the Republican primary to Chris Kobach, who went on to lose to the Democrat in the general election. But we can see Jeff Collier running for Senate has proved to be a more successful option for him. He wins in the state of Kansas. Nebraska, Ben Sasse, he gets himself re-elected. Mike Rounds gets himself re-elected in South Dakota. In Wyoming, Liz Cheney, the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney gets herself re-elected in Wyoming. North Carolina 9, the House District, Dan Bishop wins here. Oklahoma 5, this is a Republican gain. Mick Cornett wins in Oklahoma 5. In New York 24, John Katko wins in New York 24. New York 22 goes to Anthony Brindisi. New York 19, Antonio Delgado is the projected winner. In New York 11, Max Rose gets himself re-elected. Michigan 8, Elisa Slotkin gets herself re-elected. Minnesota 7, Colin Peterson, a very moderate Democrat in a very Trump district. Colin Peterson gets himself re-elected. Minnesota 2, Angela Craig gets herself re-elected. In Illinois 14, we have a major projection here. Lauren Underwood gets herself re-elected. In Nebraska 2, Don Bacon gets himself re-elected. In Kansas 3, Sharice Davids gets herself re-elected. We have a string of Republican victories here in Texas. Chip Roy, we can project, wins in Texas 21. In Texas 31, John Carter wins in Texas 31. Michael McCall wins in Texas. Texas 22 goes to Pete Olson. Texas 24 goes to Kenny McChant. But we have a major projection. Look at this. Look at this. In Texas 23, Republican incumbent Will Hurd goes down in a rematch scenario against Gina Ortiz-Jones. This is a projection here. Democrats pick up that seat in Texas 23, a major projection. Gina Ortiz-Jones wins in Texas 23. Texas 32, Colin Allred wins in Texas 32. Texas 7, Lizzie Fletcher wins in Texas 7. Yoxi Torres Small wins in New Mexico 2. She wins in a rematch situation against Yvette Herrell as well. A lot of rematch here. Yoxi Torres Small wins in New Mexico 2. Too close to call race. We got a lot of too close to calls. Arizona presidential race, too close to call. Michigan, too close to call. Nebraska 2, too close to call. Texas and Wisconsin, all too close to call. The Texas Senate race. Julian Castro against John Cornyn. Cornyn right now leading Castro. In Colorado Senate race, Johnson right now leading the incumbent Cory Gardner. Arizona Senate race, Mark Kelly right now leading the incumbent there, Martha McSally right now in Arizona, but too close to call. Michigan Senate race, Gary Peters right now leading Republican John James in Michigan. In New York 27, Nate McMurray right now behind Republican incumbent there in Collins in New York 27. Joe Biden right now at 168 electoral votes, 126 for Donald J. Trump. Excuse me. 44 Senate seats for the Democrats, 44 for the Republicans, 21 governorships for the Democrats, 26 for the Republicans. We have now projected they hold on to governor control. 169 for the Democratic House, 176 for the Republican House. Okay, it's the top of the hour again, 10 p.m. Eastern, Iowa, Utah, Nevada, Montana. Let's go. But first, we have a major projection here. Michigan goes to Joe Biden. This is a major projection here. We can now project Michigan goes into the Biden corner. This is a major boost to the Biden campaign. All they need now is to hold on to the Clinton states and win win 2 more electoral votes. And Joe Biden is the next president of the United States. Michigan, this is big. This doesn't seal the deal for Joe Biden, but we're getting pretty close to Joe Biden sealing the deal here with that Michigan projection. 16 electoral votes. Joe Biden wins in Michigan. Texas, Trump wins in Texas though, and in Nebraska too. Trump wins in Nebraska too. In Utah, Trump wins in Utah and Montana. We have a major projection. Mike Johnson has just unseated the Republican incumbent Cory Gardner in the Colorado Senate race. Mike Johnson is the projected winner. But John Cornyn, Republicans cancel this out with John Cornyn, Texas Senate race. John Cornyn beats Julian Castro in the Texas Senate race. Montana Senate race, Steve Daines wins in Montana. But in the Montana governor's race, Brian Schweitzer wins in Montana governor's race. And in Utah's governor's race, Spencer Cox wins in Utah. We have a major projection here. Maine 2nd District, Jared Golden. We can now project Jared Golden wins in Maine 2. In Iowa 3, Cindy Axe wins in Iowa 3. In Iowa 1, Chet Culver wins in Iowa 1. In Utah 4, Ben McAdams, he gets himself re-elected in Utah 4. Susie Lee gets herself re-elected in Nevada 3. In New York 27, indicted Republican incumbent Chris Collins, very unpopular nationwide, but he narrowly gets re-elected in his district. Chris Collins wins in New York 27. We've already projected that. Oklahoma 5, major projection there. Mick Cornett wins in Oklahoma 5. Look at this. Steve King, for all the talk, Steve King barely gets himself re-elected in Iowa 4. Iowa presidential race. Trump right now leading Biden in Iowa. Nevada, Biden leading Iowa Senate race. J.D. Scholten versus Joni Ernst. J.D. Schultz right now barely leading against Ernst. 174 for Joe Biden, 184 for Donald Trump. Let's see how the rest of this plays out. In the Senate, 46 Democrats, 46 Republicans. Gosh, this is coming right down to the wire. 22 Democrats, 27 Republicans for the governorships. 177 Democrats, 185 for the House of Representatives. Right now, it's the top of the hour. It's 10:59 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot of projections to get to: Idaho, Washington, Oregon, California, and the state of Hawaii. Right now, I'm just getting news that we have something very major to project. Something that could change Washington. Right now, we have a major projection. At the top of the hour is right now. We can now project Joe Biden wins the presidency of the United States. Democrats win control of the presidency. This is a net gain. Obviously, presidency goes into the Joe Biden corner. Look at this. We can also project, in addition to this, Democrats retain control of the House of Representatives. We can also project that. So we have a lot of projections to get to, but first, let's start off with how Joe Biden won. He wins in Wisconsin. This is a Democratic gain. He wins Wisconsin. He wins in California as well, 55 electoral votes. He wins in Oregon, 7 electoral votes. He wins in Washington, 12 electoral votes. And the state that puts him over the top, Hawaii. Joe Biden wins in Hawaii. Actually, that's not the state that puts him over the top. Nevada is. Joe Biden wins in Nevada. This seals the deal. Joe Biden wins the presidency. We can project Idaho goes to Trump. We can look at this. We can also project North Carolina goes to Trump, but Joe Biden has already been projected the winner, so this won't matter. But Trump is really trying to keep it close here. He wins also in Florida, 29 electoral votes, and in Ohio, 18 electoral votes. So, look at this. And in Iowa, Trump also wins in Iowa. So, let's come back to these other projections. We need to take a look at this. Okay, Joe Biden right now at 278 electoral votes. Trump at 246. He's actually keeping it relatively close here. Okay, let's go back to where we were. Okay, so he just won Iowa. Arizona, Mark Kelly wins in Arizona. This is a Democratic gain. He wins over incumbent Mark McSally. Oregon Senate race, Jeff Merkley wins in Oregon. Okay. North Carolina, Dan McCready. He narrowly gets this gain for the Democrats in North Carolina. Idaho, Jim Risch wins in Idaho Senate race. Kentucky, this is a major projection. Look at this. Mitch McConnell, despite his terrible unfavorables, Mitch McConnell gets himself re-elected in Kentucky. Another major projection, Maine. Suzanne Collins wins in the state of Maine. And look at this, Joni Ernst. She wins in the state of Iowa. So, we have this. There's a lot of projections to get to. Let's come back to these projections. Let's take a look at the Senate race. 50 Republicans and 49 Democrats. Okay, so now we can project Mitch McConnell and Susan Collins, two high-profile Republicans, get themselves re-elected. Joni Ernst also winning there. Washington governor's race, Jay Inslee gets himself re-elected. California 10 House race, Josh Harder gets himself re-elected. In California 21, TJ Cox gets himself re-elected. California 39, Jill Cisneros gets himself re-elected. In California 48, Harley Ruder gets himself re-elected. And in California 50, Duncan Hunter gets himself re-elected. Here's the full maps. 278 for Joe Biden, 246 for Donald Trump. In the Senate race, 50 Republicans, 49 Democrats. In the governor's race, 27 Republicans, 23 Democrats. And in the House of Representatives, 236 Democrats, 198 Republicans. Democrats retain control of the House of Representatives. It's the top of the hour again, 1 a.m. Eastern, Alaska. We can now project Republicans retain control of the United States Senate. Republicans will retain control with this projection that Dan Sullivan, no surprise here, gets himself re-elected. Arizona, Donald Trump gets himself re-elected. Arizona, 11 electoral votes in Arizona. In the state of Alaska, 3 electoral votes, Trump wins in Alaska. Okay, 278 electoral votes for Joe Biden, 260 for Donald Trump. This is the final story. Okay, we can actually fast forward these because we have an actual map here. Final makeup. Okay, electoral college, 278 electoral votes for Joe Biden, 260 for Donald J. Trump. Senate makeup, 51 Republicans in the Senate, 49 Democrats. We can see here the blue states mean they have 2 Democratic senators, red states have 2 Republican senators, purple states have a Democratic and Republican senator. We can often see over each election cycle there is a lot more just red and blue rather than just purple. There's a lot less purple on the map, but that Suzanne Collins was able to hold her seat in Maine very narrowly there in Maine, and I believe that's the other one. Okay, 51 Republicans, 49 Democrats, final makeup of the U.S. Senate. 23 Democrats, 27 Republicans, which is the final makeup of the National Governors Association. 236 House seats for the Democrats, 199 for the Republicans. Thank you for watching. This took a long time to make, but I really do hope you enjoyed it. And thoroughly so. And I'd like to again say a big thank you to everyone who's supporting me in this channel. Thank you for watching. Good night.